40 years ago today, Diana and Charles tied the knot in a lavish ceremony watched by over 750 million people. But over the decade that followed, the struggles in the relationship would be scrutinised by the press and the public, and by 1996 they were divorced, with Charles admitting to an affair with Camilla Parker Bowles.
Let's look back on that time with 9Honey's royal expert Natalie Oliveri. Nat, I remember this day so well. The event was dubbed the wedding of the century. What was it about this pair that had everyone so invested?
Good morning, David and Belinda. I think because there had been no royal wedding like this in the UK since the Queen married Prince Philip in 1947. She wasn't even the Queen at the time. And at the time of Diana and Charles's wedding, the UK was going through a lot of economic uncertainty. There were mass job losses. The political landscape wasn't too popular at the moment. So the wedding was seen as a real boost to the nation's confidence. It was really seen as something that everyone could look forward to, no matter what class they belonged to. And Prince Charles had been a bachelor for many, many years. He was the world's most eligible bachelor. So there had been so much talk about who he was finally going to choose as his royal bride. He chose Lady Diana Spencer, a relatively unknown. She was an aristocrat. She was a kindergarten teacher, and really was able to blend in with the people. They really thought Diana was very much one of theirs. She wasn't too posh. She was a little bit posh, but not too much. And people really warmed to her and really couldn't wait to see this fairy tale relationship, which is what everyone thought at the time, come to life. And there hadn't been a royal wedding of this scale. We had Princess Margaret's wedding, we had Princess Anne's wedding, but nothing like this one. As you said, 750 million people tuned in on television around the world to watch. Now, in comparison, when Prince William married Kate in 2011, just 130 million people turned in. So you can see the scale this wedding was compared to many others that have come since.
To be fair, there was not much else on telly at the time.
At the time. But, seeing them come out of the chapel there, she looks a lot more relieved. But Princess Diana was so nervous throughout the service. But, Charles and Diana, they looked happy, but knowing what we know now, it makes you look back at these pictures and think, but were they really in love?
Yeah, that's right. There's so many things we can talk about now in hindsight. But look, at the time, Diana did love Charles, and Charles did love Diana to a certain extent. Of course, he was still having a relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, and even the night before the wedding, Diana wanted to call the whole thing off, and it was her sister who sort of talked her down. But look, I think there was a genuine love between them, but it certainly wasn't what everyone was expecting and was hoping from this marriage, because barely 15 years later, it would end in divorce. But certainly at the time, Diana looked thrilled to be walking down the aisle. It took her 3.5 minutes to walk down the aisle of St Paul's Cathedral in that beautiful gown. And a lot was made over Prince Charles's comments said in the engagement interview back in February, where he sort of questioned the meaning of love. But I think from his point of view, that was more nerves too. Diana herself was very nervous. So I think, with the whole world watching on, both the bride and groom were feeling nerves on that big day.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that dress, though, because now it's, being shown in London. People can buy tickets and go see it. It's quite iconic.
It certainly is, and I was lucky to see it when it came to Sydney quite a few years ago. It is absolutely spectacular, and as you said there, it is on display in London for the first time in 25 years. It's now owned by Prince William and Prince Harry. They gave permission for the dress to be displayed, but Diana had a lot of say in the design of this dress. She went to David and Elizabeth Emanuel, who at the time were relatively unknown. The gown itself had more than 10,000 mother-of-pearl sequins and also tiny seed pearls sewn into it. Diana's train remains the longest in royal wedding history at 8 metres long. That's 25 feet. But her veil was even longer. Her veil was around 139 metres. And the designers didn't actually quite realise just how small the carriage was that Diana and her father would travel into St Paul's Cathedral. So Diana and the dress were squished into this small carriage.
They needed an extra carriage.
When she got out on the steps of St Paul's Cathedral, and it was covered in creases. And but thankfully, by the time she made it to the top of the stairs and then down that aisle, those creases had smoothed and everything looked perfect.
They dropped out. Nat, thanks so much for that little look back at this at memory lane there. Good to see you.
Nice to relive it.